Welcome to my office hours. I'm your host, Liz, and I invite you to step into my sacred space where curiosity meets channeled wisdom. In this unscripted corner of Athena's garden, your questions will be answered via transmissions from my dragons, my Council of Nine, and the higher realms. Light codes and activations may be present, coded into my words, so be prepared to flow and integrate. And trust that you will receive exactly what you need when listening or watching. Each episode unfolds organically, guided by your most pressing questions and when it's ready to be heard. Office Hours commences now. Welcome to my office hours. I'm Liz of Athena's Garden. I'm an Akashic Records reader and remote energy healer, and office hours is my unscripted corner of my channel and also available in a podcast format. Usually I'll pick one topic and answer a few questions that I receive either through email, through comments, or direct messages on Discord. So if you have a question relating to spirituality and your spiritual journey and any questions you might have and don't know who to ask or where to look, I will be very happy to answer them with the help of my guides and my counsel to answer the question. So today I received a question from episode 1 of Office Hours, and this one is regarding soul songs and light languages. And this time I have notes in my notebook so that I'm rambling a little less. It is still unscripted, but it helps to have some notes, so I won't be looking for Doctor Strange's name in my memory database. I can at least have some notes, right? So my first question is from the Love Codex. Thank you for your question. And this was written in episode 1 of my office hours. And this question is related to soul songs and light language and why some people can easily tap into while others don't seem able to access light language and their soul song. Well, I think to start, I liked how you phrased it as easily, tap into as easily, because we are all capable of learning and using light language if you want to. If that's an area that interests you as a way of healing, exploration, communication, that is definitely something one can learn. In my personal experience regarding producing light language and singing soul songs and singing light language, for me and perhaps many people, is probably the throat chakra blockage. So here is our soul's throat chakra that we can produce the sounds, right? Our voice box, as well as like hearing, right? Like producing the sound, so it has nose, mouth, voice box, and also our hearing. This whole area is part of our throat chakra and expression. And then we have our heart chakra. So why I mention the heart chakra as well is that the soul language, soul song and light language, maybe Freudian slip, maybe the same thing. It has to do with the heart and throat connection. So it's the soul songs and light language. It comes from your soul, which is a heart chakra energy field. So when you strengthen and heal your heart chakra as well as your throat chakra, that will assist you in producing the sounds or opening that part up to expressing your soul song as well as light language. So I think that's one. So healing involves many things. It could be inner child healing. It could be practicing producing the sounds and constantly think of, am I being authentic? Is this the truth that I want to speak? So even with regular language, if you're able to comfortably express yourself in that way, that will also help and open it up, as silly as that sounds, as my little tip there. But also, I feel in my journey learning or reaccessing this ability to sing is really letting go of any preconceived notion as to what it's supposed to sound like. And I think that's the most important thing, because the light language is all here, right? I mean, sure, you know, there's the crown chakra that you connect with source, but when we're producing it, it's concentrated here, or that's how I see it. So definitely here in our brain, so not the crown chakra, just our brain. And if we keep thinking of this is what it's supposed to sound like, because if I listen to like very beautiful light language and I'm like, that's not what mine sounds like, or the sound that I want to produce, it doesn't sound like that, and that will get in all in our head, which is not our heart nor our throat. So that further prevents one from expressing the light language or your soul song, or channeling your soul song in that way. Another blockage that one might have with accessing light language is past life trauma or doing some past life healing. Many of us, not just myself, you know, many of us might have trauma in our past lives, not just our current lives, but trauma in our past lives, where you're like, why is this, you know, why can't I do this? Why do I have this trauma of expressing myself? And that's because, like in my example, I have this past life during the Inquisition. And so I had a lot of trouble. I was using my throat chakra a lot in a written form, because back then I was doing a lot of writing. And so outwardly, like verbally, I wasn't really talking and expressing myself in an authentic way. I was in my writing. And so that could be another possibility based on your soul's unique journey and what kind of experiences or past life trauma might inform some of the reasons why it's a little bit harder for some souls, for some people to access light language and speak it. Another reason is some starseed cultures are telepathy based. So as an example, Arcturians and Syrians, among others, but those are the top two that I think of, that in your day-to-day culture, in your starseed, you are communicating very in a telepathic way. And therefore, there's no need to produce any light language. So there are other starseed, as an example, that are more vocal, more vocal. So I can think of like, you know, like part of Gaia, the Lemurian culture, or like Native American culture as example. Native cultures, not just American, like in Taiwan or the Ainu culture. It's very like vocal based. Yes, Native cultures that have a lot of singing in the culture, community like vocalization, calling out, and just like the constant use of the vocal cords, that also makes a difference. So other star seeds that I can think of, like Lyran, Syrian also, they have the telepathic groups, as well as groups that use a lot of singing and vocalization, as well as Aquilan that I can think of, the Aquilan starseeds, Pleiadians. So some starseed cultures will have more use of light language and vocal expressions compared to some that mostly telepathic. Let me see my notes. And practice. I would say, if that's an area you would like to explore, taking a class or just active practice, speaking your truth and singing in different ways. Like, you don't have to start with light language if that's too much pressure, but just like singing and speaking and practicing. So like a 3D example is, instead of writing or texting, you can start trying voice recordings and challenging yourself to send it to your friends and family, or taking an acting class that will help kind of heal your inner authenticity, to have that courage to express yourself. Then my personal journey is, I admittedly, as a like blueprint designer and my own like soul composition, if you will, I would say that I express my light language and light codes more in artwork or written into like literary formats. That's kind of like how I normally am. So that could also be a possibility, that it's just a different way of expressing the light codes in different ways. It doesn't always have to be vocal. It's helpful, it's useful, and I enjoy it. So I learned or practiced to do light language through my mentor, Tiffany Tin, and her courses are at New Earth Alchemy. So just speaking about my own journey, that's how I got the courage to have the opportunity to practice and to gain the courage. It took me a long time too. So don't be discouraged if that's an area you want to explore. And even if, let's say, you're from Arcturian culture or a telepathic culture, or even like, a quiet family, like you're just more introverted and don't express yourself vocally outside, like introversion, extroversion, expressing yourself verbally outwardly. So that could take some practice to open up that channel. But one thing to note, like even for my mentors, like Tiffany, my light language, or light singing rather, like I'm more into like the melody part of the light language, other than I don't know why, like that's something that I'm gonna explore myself as well, but I more focus on the melodic tunes that I hear. So yeah. And the last thing is working around your clairs. So we all have the clairs if we want to open up, but if you focus on your strongest one, it can help open up the other ones. So as an example, to focus on this question about light language and soul song, I would say that it has to do with clairaudience as well, your vocal cords, expression in the throat chakra, heart chakra. For some people, you might hear it, and then when somebody produces the light language, you're also listening to what it means and translating through your clairaudience. And so, for example, that's not my strongest one. My strongest one is claircognizance. So knowing which one is your strongest one, through my claircognizance, I can use that and focus on remembrance and knowing, and then translate that through and access my clairaudience, if that makes sense. So knowing which one is your strongest one can help you, because perhaps if your goal is to work on your light language, if your strongest one is clairvoyance, perhaps you will see the words float up when you're trying to produce it, or there's a feeling that comes up with the visuals, and then you can work on the heart to throat connection and produce what the feeling is. Or if you're clairsentient also, you can start with the emotion that you feel, like is it happiness, joy, authenticity in your body, and through the clairsentience, and then like produce it. So that is just my 2 cents through my personal experience with light language. So hope that was helpful. So moving on, so in my office hours, I plan to usually talk about a quick topic relating to spirituality. But for this episode, because the second question is so complex and it requires a little bit of background, as well as my handy dandy whiteboard. So for those who are listening only, you might need to look at the whiteboard sometimes. So, or, if you do plan to rewatch it or look at the whiteboard later, that's totally fine. But for now, let me start with the question first. So this is a question actually from one of my Akashic Records past client that I have read for. And I got their permission to share a little bit about their soul, not in great detail, but just with this question. So the reason why I have to preface is that this individual, they are quite advanced at lucid dreaming and astral projection. So if this still sounds like what a sci-fi fantasy to you for now, that is a-okay, but maybe you can just think of it as an interesting story to listen to about some people with this aspect of the spiritual journey, spiritual adventure, if you will. Their question is regarding seeing themselves during the astral travel. So that's part one of their question. And what is the significance? Because you can see yourself, that's you, and what's the significance? Or seeing someone like on TV when you're astral traveling, or like a family member, like what is the significance of seeing someone you recognize during the astral travel? So I mistranscribed the second question in my notes, but it's regarding dimension jumping, changing dimension while lucid dreaming, and how can you be sure you are shifting dimensions? And so that's why I have the little chart that I drew, which I will explain. But just to start with the question about what's the significance of seeing yourself or seeing somebody when you're astral traveling. So this usually happens when you're sleeping and you remember, so you're conscious and you sometimes can make decisions. So that's the lucid dreaming part. In our opinion, myself and my counsel, that lucid dreaming and astral traveling is the same thing. It's just that one thing is a name that we use that kind of more accurately describes the experience through your astral body and traveling, astral projection, going through dimensions. So this is just our opinion, but essentially this individual, they were looking at themselves, but they know that they are separate. Like this is them in the astral form, and the person in the mirror has a different body, and that person was looking at the mirror, but the astral traveler understood that that's them. So why is this past life memory, or I would say past, present, or future version shown? So that will require the person's personal exploration, but in general, there's probably a reason why you are shown that in your astral travels. It could be it's answering a question you had in the astral realm, or a curiosity, or perhaps this is something significant, and in the timeline weaving of past, present, and future that is present in the astral plane, since this is time-space, right? We don't know if what you're seeing is the past, present, or future timeline. So that's to start, but sometimes there is a reason, like healing aspect, or your higher self, or your team of light would like to discuss with you something important, and so that's why you remember it, because it's significant and it's showing you looking at this version. So it's definitely very interesting, and I would just kind of store it aside in your journal or your memory. I just see a dragonfly outside, thank you. And so that's what I would recommend for that. And then the question about seeing someone you're familiar with, like a character from television. So usually how I like to interpret these things is do you like this person in real life, like this television character? Or, you know, did you follow them? Or what is your emotional feeling when you saw them, right? Like focus on that first before you try to decipher the meaning. But in general, it shows up in a form that you would recognize. So sometimes it's a celebrity, a deceased writer, someone famous, because it helps you recognize them to get your attention or to guide you. So that would be the two things. But usually if you don't recognize, because sometimes in the astral you'll see a lot of different faces, like, do I know this person? Is this person someone in real life that I know, or part of my soul family? That's the other thing. So if you see someone that kind of looks like your family members, most likely it's just a way of your higher self or your team of light to indicate that that's a message that they're trying to send you, or you might be open to receiving. And it's just easier if you already recognize their face. So that's how I interpret this. That's my interpretation. And let me just double check here for a second. So my guides are also telling me to always be vigilant, because sometimes things can be hijacked in the astral, as mentioned before. And so potentially, occasionally, they would use different things in the pop culture, in the current collective consciousness, to get your attention for nefarious means. So they also say beware. Usually if you feel kind of comfortable with them, like your gut feeling, if you feel comfortable, then it's okay. Like, just always be aware. You have to be when you're in the astral, in dreaming, even if you're dreaming. So that is what we have to say about the familiar. So now we're gonna go through my fancy stick figure diagram. So let's start here. So you start here. So this is you sleeping in the third dimension. Okay, so everything outside of the bubble right now in my little whiteboard is the fourth dimension. So here we are sleeping, and then through intention, for people who are familiar with astral projection techniques, you set your intention before going to sleep and you will yourself to go traveling. So now you're in your first dream. So this is you in the astral. And I put over here in the little yellow cloud, everything here is safer. So after you go to sleep, the safer route is to go straight to the upper dimensions, and therefore you won't remember your dream. So 5th dimension and beyond, most likely you won't remember your dream. And whoa, the light just changed so much. Let me see if I can fix that. Well, I apologize, the light just changed a lot. That's just filming with natural light by a window and clouds. So yes, back to my little diagram. This is the safer route. And then the other option would be, here you are, this is your astral form in the 4th dimension. And the asker of this question was mentioning the 2nd and 3rd dream. So in that case, we have to go, I have to reorient it myself. We have to go here. So you got 2 options. You go to your 2nd dream. So you can go to a place that in esoteric Taoism is called the inner temple, or a place advanced astral projectors will know. You go into like almost like a home base. It's like a space that you go and you can make yourself comfortable. It feels familiar. You might have another bed or blanket that you can visualize, and you can go there, get cozy, and fall asleep once more in your astral state. So then you are here, and that will allow you to go either deeper or into another part of the astral plane. So why would you need to do that? So maybe explore past lives or future possibilities, as mentioned with the, seeing yourself in a different form. It could be your past life or future possibility and exploration of that, some information exchange, or there are message downloads for you. And that's why you want to do that. So people explore different things. Or you're with your soul family or your soul mission, you're on some special mission together. So you'll see people you recognize. They're usually your soul family. And then these parts, there's a reason why you remember these memories. It is something that's being resolved and perhaps something you requested. Then there's some mission, training, or play. And that's really unique to your soul and soul mission and your guides. So sometimes you will end up here in the astral for a reason, like if that's within your, soul mission, based on your Akashic records, it'll indicate, or you would know, like if you're here for a special mission, it will show up in the dream, in the second dream. So first sleep, second sleep, you sleep again, and then you can enter a deeper part of the astral. Or another method is after your first sleep, you end up through an astral doorway, which you envision it opening up, and it leads to the fifth dimension. In that case, you won't remember. Or other times you can see the Akashic records. And so that's why I wanted to mention in my episode today about the inner temple and also esoteric Taoism. We refer to this as guān luo yin, which means you are going or willing yourself through a ritual. So sleeping and astral projection, it's a little bit harder to control, but in the esoteric Taoist practice of guān luo yin, you can visit your inner temple and get information. And so the reason why you do it, as in people find it fun, exploration, or they want to see their family and experience seeing their family from the spirit realm. So I put it over here that the 4D is the spirit world, or 灵界. Is where souls exist. And so the thing is, here, the little circle here, there's a divide. So this is yang and this is yin. And so the thing about astral projection is safety first. Safety first. Oh my gosh, and now the sun comes out in like a full blast. But yes, the thing about astral projection is safety first. It is not the safest place, okay? I wouldn't recommend just exploring the astral realm just out of the blue, like as your first step of your spiritual journey. But once you're there, as in after accepting that when you're dreaming, sometimes you are actually in the astral realm, in the spirit world, in another dimension, if you will. In that case, there's just some experiences you will have that you will have questions for. So it's just part of our human experience as well. But I would say that the safest way to explore, for example, if you're interested in the Akashic records, which is located on the 8th dimension, but you can read it on the 4th dimension. I shared this in public, and I will share this beautiful video created by Benabel about the inner temple. And I posit that the inner temple, in my experience with guān luo yin practitioners in the Daoist practice of visiting your inner temple through a ritual, I strongly feel that our Akashic records presents itself in a inner temple where our soul is hosted. Because we are here in the 3rd dimension, I should probably start there, that it's like it has a record of where we are, because we're down here now. It's a place for our spirit to go to when they need to access information, like when we're sleeping, when we're traveling, right? Like as mentioned here, you have your little safe house first to go to before going elsewhere. So I think that's my way of looking at it. And like in the esoteric Daoist and ritual of guān luoying, of visiting your inner temple, you don't have to visit it yourself. If you're curious to see what's inside, you can go to a Daoist priestess and have them look for you. So they will have different elements, like, how does your garden look? Does it have tons of weeds and grass and like unknown things? It will affect you here in the third dimension. And so they will ask some spirit entity to trim the trees and tidy up the garden for you. And they look at your rice container. Does it have rice? That's abundance, right? Money, flow, like to have your kitchen being lively, production, creation, fire. How's the fire doing? And that has to do with like different energy and different aspects. I'm totally summarizing it and just not scripting. This is unscripted, so it doesn't do the topic justice. But my 2 cents about bringing this up is that it is much safer to go in a meditation aspect in your light body to look at different things in your Akashic records, for example. So all this is to say safety first, and I don't actually recommend going this route. As mentioned, sometimes it's you can't control it. It's just part of your soul, when you go to sleep. But to take your safety precautions, make sure your spaces are cleansed, like in your bedroom, if you have a tendency to travel. So, and then once you're traveling, safety first. The other thing mentioned is that, like, what about when you wake up suddenly back to your body? Well, usually you're still protected in a way by your higher self if you have your divine spark still thoroughly connected. But just because you're protected doesn't mean you should challenge it, like willfully go to dangerous places. So I think that's ultimately what I want to say. But if you're suddenly back into your body, that means safety first. Come back to your body first. I hope that answers some questions that you may have had. I know this is oddly specific about astral projection, but I feel like you will run into it as people start awakening in different stages. Suddenly they'll be like, why am I dreaming about this? Like, is this a dream? Like, why is this recurrent? And it's just one way of getting information from your higher selves as well. So that would be part of the message, getting messages. So thank you so much for watching Office Hours. And remember, if you have a question you would like me to answer, just leave me a comment wherever you're watching this, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube. And I would be very happy to answer your questions regarding your spiritual journey and anything mystical. Take care and see you in my next video. Bye-bye. As we close today's office hours, take a moment to sit with what came through for you and where you are on your own journey. If this transmission served you and you feel called to support my educational platforms, consider booking a private session with me, making a donation, or simply following, giving it a thumbs up, or writing a review for my podcast. By commenting and sharing with your friends, it helps me reach audiences who are also seeking just like yourself. Check the description below for all the ways to connect and support. If you have any questions for future episodes you'd like me to answer, please leave comments on the platform wherever you listen to podcasts or on YouTube, or consider reaching out through any of my social media channels. My dragons and my council are happy to answer questions for those who are ready to listen. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a transmission when it drops in perfect alignment. Athena's Garden TV is a community to nurture and support one another as creative and conscientious people in a global world. Together, we rise. Thank you for stepping into my office hours today. I'm Liz, and I'll see you in my next transmission.